go ahead and get started. As every meeting starts with the approval of the minutes on our last meeting on July 24th. The commissioners will have time to review, see if there's any addendums or changes that need to be made. Excuse me.
Was it 28th, not the 24th?
Today's the 28th.
Today's the 28th.
Last month was the 24th.
This is the 24th.
July 24th.
I can correct that.
Just say, sorry. Just clarify.
No, thank you.
I'll move to approve the minutes meeting July.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Let's go ahead and call roll call meeting, please.
Pete Renfro,
Abstain.
Jeff Garrison,
Aye.
Trevor Branch,
Aye.
Lacey Colbert, William Oakes is absent. Thank you. Adam Brown,
Aye.
Alexei Pavlov,
Abstain.
Chad Zickafus,
Aye.
and Hadley Goldberg.
Aye.
You guys have it.
Thank you. And we have no scheduled visitors or guests, no unfinished business, so we'll move right on to our new business. For letter A is the zoning amendment 23-0005. Property owner is, I believe it's Busby Investment LLC. Property location is 817 North 4th Street. Existing zoning is R1A Single Family District. Requested zoning is RSF1 Single Family District. Cameron?
Yes, the application is to rezone approximately 0.86 acres or 37,471 square feet from R1A single-family residential to RSF1 single-family residential. The property currently has a structure on it, a single-family residence, and it does conform to the existing zoning and to which conform to be requested. Any future development shall conform to the city's ordinances and regulations if the zoning is approved and further development is to occur. There are no overlay districts or environmental features that affect this property. The property is currently serviced by city water and sewer. The comprehensive plan does recommend a future land use of single family, as that's what the zoning exists today. And the zoning request will conform to the comprehensive plan and the surrounding zonings. Based on staff's report and staff's findings, staff does recommend approval.
Thank you, sir. And we have, is the applicant or a representative of the applicant here this evening?
Here.
Would you like to add anything to what Cameron said, or are you good?
Yeah, I can add a little bit.
Okay, if you'll give him your name and address, please.
Nikolai Kuzakiewicz.
Megan, go ahead and step up to the mic.
So basically,
How
trying
do I
to.
turn that?
It's on.
Oh, is it on?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
So I'm trying to change the zoning so I can split the property in half and build another single-family house. And I'm a builder. That's what I do for a living. So I just build single-family homes.
Okay. If we have anything for you, we'll lay back up. Okay. Thank you. And we'll now open it up to the public for comment towards the requested zoning amendment. I will mention prior to, I don't know if we're dealing with this one or another one, but we have, with this amount of people, we need like a 5-minute limit on your comments, please. And as stated to that gentleman, if you may give us your name and address, and fully understand we're simply talking about rezoning. We really can't offer any information on anything further than the zoning of the property. Okay? So we will now open it to the public. If you would like to speak, and come to the microphone, please.
Yeah, good evening. Charles Coward. I'm an attorney with Spencer Payne Law Firm. We're located at 2144 East Public Road in Springfield. I represent Max Croxville. He has a house located at 810 North 4th Street, which will be just to the south and across the street from the property in question. Okay? And let me express Mr. Croxville's concern about this rezoning request. If, in fact, you can guarantee that this property would essentially be split in two parts, we would not object to that. But With the zoning classification as requested, it can be split into 3 parts. It's 180-foot frontage, it can be split into 60-foot frontage properties, and that will be inconsistent with the rest of the property on the street. We believe that that's an improper use of the property and is out of character with the use of the property by others along that street. So the problem we have is that once you approve this zoning request, you can't guarantee that that property will not be split into 3 parts. And the only way we can guarantee that won't happen is to deny the zoning request. So until we can come to some arrangement where that could be guaranteed, we do oppose it. If there's a way for that to be guaranteed, then that would change our position. But until that point, because of the classification requested, Mr. Croxdale doesn't
Okay,
answer any questions anybody has.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this particular zoning request? Seeing no movement, I'll go ahead and close the public portion of this particular amendment request and open it up to the commission for questions that they may have for either the owner or Cameron exist. Open it up to the commission. Chad, yes, sir.
I've got a question for staff. Mr. Smith, what are the dimensions of the existing lot? Do you have that?
I don't know that I have that in front of me, but the overall square footage of the lot is 37,471 square feet. But I do not have those dimensions in front of me.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Comments? And of course, we will entertain a motion at this time if there is no further questions or comments. Yes, sir, Chad.
I make a motion to approve zoning amendment 23-0005 as presented in the report and staff recommendations.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, with the second, maybe we can do a roll call vote, please.
Hadley Goldberg,
Aye.
Adam Brown,
Aye.
Alexei Pavlov,
Aye.
William Oakes is absent, Chad Zikafus,
Aye.
Jeff Garrison,
Aye.
Pete Renfro,
Aye.
Lacey Colbert, and Trevor Branch.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you, Megan. Moving along to letter B, which is zoning amendment 23-0006. Property owner is Melissa Burke. Property location 716 North 14th Street. Existing zoning is R1C, single family district. Requested zoning is R4, high density multi-family district. Cameron?
Yes, the application is to rezone approximately 14.35 acres from R1C single-family residential to R4 high-density multifamily residential. The property currently has a single-family residence on it and does conform to the existing zoning. Any future development of this property shall conform to the city's ordinances and codes. There are no overlay districts or environmental features that affect this property. The city has determined that we do have adequate utility capacity of water and sewer to serve this property. During the future development, that requirement to extend those utilities would be the burden of the developer to extend those infrastructure systems. This will further be evaluated by staff and our engineers upon development submittals, but at this time we are just evaluating the zoning classification. In addition to during the time of development, staff will further review with the developer and their applicant in the Ozark Special Road District in regards to water and traffic. In that time, we will request the developer submit a stormwater report and a traffic impact study to further identify what improvements will be required for the existing infrastructure system. The requested zoning will require buffer yards between the adjacent properties due to the zoning change. The comprehensive plan does note the future land use as single-family residential based on its existing use today. The requested zoning of R4 would offer a transitional zoning between any future development along the corridor, which is identified via commercial corridor, and the existing single family. The requested zoning would also offer housing diversity, affordable alternatives, and additional multifamily options. Based on staff's reports and findings, staff does recommend approval of the zoning.
Thank you, Cameron. We'll move right into the public portion for public comments. Again, if I could reiterate, 5-minute limit, and maybe we'll help you kind of oversee that. Try to keep your comments in that, and try as best as you can to keep comments towards what we're actually talking about, which is the zoning. We don't know what information beyond that, of course, what might happen later. So whoever would like to start, just
we need a representative.
excuse me, you're right, I apologize. I'm jumping ahead. I do need the applicant or the representative of the applicant here this evening. Yes, sir. If you'd like to give your name and address and make any comments, that's all.
My name is Brian Harrell. I'm here representing the developer of East Owner. I'm out of Springfield, Missouri.
Could you go to your street address, please?
516 West Crestwood.
Thank you.
I'm just here to answer any questions you guys might have on the development. And some of our bills that we built in Springfield, we're considering 5 class time. We built the lodges at Kensington, we built Silverleaf, we built the lodges at Kensington townhomes also, and that's more of the style of townhomes and stuff that we're considering putting back there on that 14 acres. And we'd like to keep it towards the south side.
Okay, that's what I'm here for. Okay, well, all right, if you need, thank you. I apologize for that. Now we'll open up the public portion. Anyone would like to make any comments? Whoever wants to come forward, we'll listen. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Shane Brocate. I live at 1149 North 14th Street. Good evening. My name is Shane Brocate, and I live directly across from the proposed rezoning. I'm here today with my neighbors as a concerned citizen and member of the Ozark community. I appreciate the opportunity to address all of you regarding the proposed rezoning of 716 North 14th Street to R4 district, which will allow for the construction of high-rise apartments. In 2015, during a search for the perfect piece of land to build a home I could live, retire, and plant permanent roots in, I stumbled across a rolling hillside along 14th Street with the look and feel of country living, but the convenience and access of something right in town. I think this not only describes the property I live at, but the city of Ozark as a whole. I stand before you today along with my neighbors because I feel like our community, and specifically the single-family home neighborhood I chose to build within, stands at a crucial crossroads. I appreciate and echo the concerns that you can hear from my neighbors, but I want to focus my time here bringing attention to some key points that align with our 2019 Ozark Comprehensive Plan, which was created through collaboration with City Ozark officials and residents, and underscore the implications of the proposed rezoning. The first is zoning alignment. The current zoning of this property represents a single-family residential neighborhood. The proposed rezoning to R4 district not only contradicts our established R1C district, but also deviates from the 2019 comprehensive plan using transitional zoning for continuous development patterns for single-family and multifamily developments through options like R2 zoning. These create a buffer to maintain the character of our established neighborhoods. Future land use plan. Our city's comprehensive plan specifically outlines the future land use for various zones across all of Ozark. This property in particular is designated as single-family residential on those plans. The plan also aims to direct future developments to zones already laid out in this future land use to minimize impact on single-family and low-density neighborhoods. Third point is strategic land use designation. The City of Ozark has designated LCRA zones to encourage appropriate developments in areas that require revitalization. The proposal to establish an R4 zone in our community does not align with this strategic approach. And the fourth point is preserving heritage and character. Our city and its elected officials committed to preserving heritage and the character is evident in its policies and promises. The small town atmosphere was overwhelmingly the number one reason why people enjoyed living in Ozark, according to our comprehensive plan and the polls that you guys put out. Introducing high-density, multi-story apartment complexes that tower over this hillside specifically, and the iconic Cassie Barn, a representation of our heritage and community, would contradict this pledge. Altering the skyline and landscape of Ozark in ways that comprise the very essence of our city. In closing, I want to emphasize that our concerns are not against progress, but rather for progress that respects our heritage, character, and comprehensive plan. We believe that responsible development can coexist with our values and will not require rezoning of this property. As residents, we stand ready to engage in meaningful dialogue and work collaboratively towards solutions that honor our community's aspirations. I kindly urge you to consider these points as you deliberate on the rezoning proposal. Thank you for your time and dedication to guiding Ozark's growth while preserving the union and makes us proud of all this.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Casey Brower. I live at 1304 West Parkview with my family. I am in strong opposition, along with all of my neighbors here tonight, with the rezoning request R4. We purchased our home in 2019, and prior to purchasing it, we did extensive research. We're not from the community here. We're not from the Southwest Missouri area. So choosing Ozark to plant our roots with our 2 young kids was a big deal for us. One of the main reasons why we chose Ozark was after reviewing the Ozark Comprehensive Plan, we specifically identified with the visioning statement stating that looking forward, the city plans to refocus on managing growth in a way that is smart, well-planned, and preserves the unique character and heritage of Ozark. If this rezoning amendment passes, our backyard will now overlook high-density housing, which will present a variety of negative impacts for our family, our children, and our neighbors. When we use our newly renovated trail system that we poured so much money and energy into, I actually have to put my 2-year-old in the stroller because nearby any R4 districts that currently exist, they're covered with shattered glass, vandalism, and trash. And I'd encourage you, if you don't use the trail system, to go check that out for yourself. Driving to and from our home on 14th Street often presents issues. Also for you if you're on foot walking. Last night I was on my way home from hockey practice and was nearly hit head on just about every day that happens to me. And we're talking about adding more high density traffic into that area if we go along with this plan. My girls and I, they're 2 and 6, we walk on foot from our home to many local staples because we picked this community so that we could pour into it. We're the kind of family that you would want here. We love to support these businesses. We love being able to walk from our home to historic downtown, to the Christian County Library, to go to the farmer's market at Bentley Farms, walking to Ozark football games, the OC, any of those places that you probably tend to visit, and the things that make Ozark great to you all, I'm sure. The other thing is we love our neighbors, we trust them, we look out for each other. We're talking about potentially turning our quiet neighborhood, our safe and secure street that we purchased on intentionally, into essentially a through street that is surrounded by high-density housing, high-rise apartments. Considering rezoning this piece of Ozark history is going to not only disrupt the local landscape, but it's also going to start to get rid of that small town community feel and the rich history that's in this community. If we destroy the existing landscape, the Ozark beauty and history is going to be replaced with more high-rise apartment buildings, as if you have not seen the ones that are already being developed, you can't really turn your head in Ozark anymore without seeing apartments overlooking the treetops. It's going to drastically impact our property values, the roads and traffic surrounding us, and will overall reduce the small town feel that led us to plant our roots in Ozark in the first place. The girls and I are not going to be comfortably walking anywhere anymore, or using the trail systems locally, or really spending a lot of time in our local neighborhood because it will be high traffic, high density, and of course that leads to safety and security issues. Traffic will be denser, and we're just no longer going to have that overall safe and secure feeling that we do in our homes currently. So by placing more high-density housing that's going to be used as multi-family rental homes, we're going to be encouraging even more people to move into the area without any personal investment in the community, homeownership, our neighborhoods, our community. I am coming from the mortgage industry, and I can tell you there's data that strongly correlates homeownership with the reduction of alcoholism and drug addiction, with the high school dropout rate, with the divorce rate. So ultimately, by doing this, that can be counterintuitive and counterproductive. And if we're trying to build a strong, developed community pour into our families, then I think we should rethink this. We want Ozark to continue to grow. I think we're all on the same page when it comes to that. But allowing this high-density housing to take over the path through historic downtown Ozark, what are we doing? You have a big decision sitting in front of you. There's a lot of people here who are going to speak, but what I want you to do is just pause for a minute, turn around, and look at that wall behind you. Yeah, take a look. I encourage you to think about why you live in Ozark. Why did you move here? Why did you stay here? Why did you choose to raise your family here? And consider opportunities like this will continue to impact your family. It might not be this one, but it will be next time. Please consider not rezoning this artwork.
My name is Rick Johnson, and I've lived at 711 North 13th Street since 1989. I would like to remind this commission that after the development was done on the new subdivision of Northtown Park, right north in this area, the water retention berm failed. And all those neighbors downstream, which is towards Jackson Street, they all had major damage and flooded basements after that. The affected neighbors for that had raised concerns prior to the development being built like we are tonight. But I must add that the proposed developer of the current parcel on 14th Street is not the same builder that built Northtown Park. But I think the water concerns are still valid. I think any man-made water retention can fail. Those of us down closer on the hill, close to the tennis courts and the girls' softball field, we already have major water runoff. And it's like a river in my backyard when it rains. It's major. Flooding, major. And I just think the development would only add to problems that we already have now. And I would highly encourage this request not be granted. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Chris Webster. I live at 800 North 13th Street. And I want to thank all of you for your service. I'm sure you don't do this for the money or the prestige, but I really want you to all take a look in your heart about the development of Ozark. Do we want to become just a bedroom community for Springfield, for people just to move in? The heart of our community are homeowners. They're the ones who are vested. I've lived here 30 years. We've got great neighbors in our neighborhood who are vested in Ozark, take pride in home ownership. And to stack up high density, to go from an R1 to an R4 is a huge change in the middle of single family homes. It doesn't make sense. It's not a good fit for Ozark, and it's going to affect everyone in Ozark. That traffic is going to dump out on 14, where we already have heavy traffic with kids trying to get into school in the morning. It's a bad fit for Ozark, and it's certainly a bad fit for our community and our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wasn't planning on doing this. My name is Evelyn Sparks. I live at 1405 West Parkview. Forgive me, I just had surgery. We moved here. There was only 2 houses and you guys okayed thankfully, to put single family, because they wouldn't put multifamily on Parkview. That would have destroyed the neighborhood. Thankfully, you guys thought what all these people said. We have a strong community. We wanted to grow. But you have apartments, you have people in and out, in and out, in and out, transit. That's not what we want for Ozark. We want this Ozark city to be strong, a strong community with strong faith, strong friends, strong neighborhoods. I wouldn't have the neighbors I have now if you guys wouldn't have made a choice you did before. They're good. They want to be here. They want to be part of Ozark. The street's not wide enough, like you've heard. Water issues. We don't have much water pressure now. When they built the high school, one of the city men told us we'd be hooked into it, so we'd have more water pressure. Well, we weren't. But if they build apartment complexes, not only is it going to cause, I'm afraid, more crime, because we actually had that when our street was opened up. It's going to hurt its water value. It's going to hurt its traffic. People can get hurt, kids walking. Our high school jogs up and down that street. They're going to get hit. I mean, there's so much traffic, it already scares me. Like I said, I didn't plan on coming up here. I just wanted you to hear from my heart how I feel about the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mark Miller. Wife Amanda's here with me. We live at 1251 North 14th Street on Ozark and here in town. I honestly can't say it better than some of these other folks have already said it. You know, and as soon as I walked in this room, it's been a few years that I've been in here. My thing was like, there's no high-rise apartment buildings in this mural behind us, which is what this town was founded on. So my biggest concerns, we've raised my daughters, they're now in college. You know, great neighborhood. We moved into it primarily because of we looked for houses for 6 months before we moved over here from Battlefield to facilitate traffic and stuff. I know, I'm sure there's a study going on or going to be. You would have to widen 14th Street. If you have to widen 14th Street, you're going to completely destroy the look of that street in general and why most of us moved up there. In the 17 years we've lived there, have trees that sit about 3 or 4 foot into the ground, into our yard. I've had 4 people hit our trees in the years that we've lived here. A couple of them totaled their vehicle because they weren't paying attention, going too fast. The road is too narrow. Okay. I don't want the road widened. I don't want to see a whole bunch of new traffic coming through there. Where traffic is going to have to come up Parkview, where this new proposed subdivision would bring exponentially increased traffic flow through our neighborhood. For the safety of the kids that are there now and the people who walk, it's just not good. But that's up to you. But please reconsider this and keeping it R1 and not the high density housing, because it will not benefit our neighborhood at all whatsoever. And it'll also destroy the natural beauty of what you could see from Jackson Street looking over onto out across over towards the tennis courts and everything else. And we stick high-rise structures. I know the R1 can't change. Single family homes are different because you've got ownership, you've got accountability. Rental properties, you do not. And that's just of great concern to me and our community and neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jim Price. I live at 1199 North 14th Street. First, I want to thank you for the opportunity for letting us voice our concerns this evening. As you can see, our entire community kind of turned out and they're very concerned about this rezoning issue. My neighbors have already spoken about how the application for rezoning does not seem to conform to the city's comprehensive plan and is likely to create an increased danger for pedestrians in a neighborhood with narrow streets and no sidewalks. They've talked about the potential for a significant loss of privacy, fear of water runoff, and the reduction of green space that is vital to our collective health. A large development on the proposed location will also contribute to significant noise and light pollution. It will diminish our quality of life. While we all feel strongly that a landowner has the freedom to use the land how they see fit, we also believe that all the people in the surrounding area have the freedom to pursue happiness and feel safe in their community. We've heard the development plan and we are still concerned. We cannot help see the enormous apartment buildings being built on 20th Street as we drive down I-65 and shudder to think that that could happen in our neighborhood. If the plan is truly to build townhomes, why didn't the developer apply to rezone the parcel to R3? If the application for R4 is approved, the genie is out of the bottle and we can't put it back in. If issues arise that stymie the developer's ability to build townhomes, and R4 zoning leaves it open the possibility for a different developer to come in and build substantially much more than was discussed tonight. I've spoken to about 60 families in Ozark Heights, a neighborhood that abuts the large apartment complex being built on 20th Street. They shared with me that they were originally told, don't worry, we're just going to build a few townhomes. Very soon, some of them will have a significant loss of privacy and all will be affected by increased traffic on a road that does not currently support it. We respectfully ask you not to recommend the application for high density housing for approval to the Board of Aldermen. We ask you retain the current zoning of RC1 or R1C, and we ask the owner to consider building single family houses or duplexes instead. R1C zoning is congruent with the rest of the neighborhood and follows the character of the neighborhood and is not consistent with the current comprehensive plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to speak as well?
Yes, sir.
My name is Jonathan Stone. I live at 2225 North 20th Street in the 93-year-old farmhouse just in front of those new apartments. We fought it, still went through. It's ruined the aesthetics of our farmhouse. I talked with a planning and zoning friend from Nashville over the weekend. He said that the ADT, the average daily trips per residence is 4. In my apartment complex, that's 768 vehicles a day on that street. How can either end of those streets with the lights handle that? And now you're talking about putting it over near the Ozark, across from the Ozark Baptist Church. It's the eyesore of my house has the eyesore of Ozark right now. It's the albatross of apartments. It's impacted even my septic tank in their building. They've built up 6 foot on the whole property, no concern about runoff like these other people are concerned. I come here as a courtesy to implore you to think hard about what you're wanting to do here and what you're wanting to build. I agree with everything that's been said. This is a community of single people, single structures of homeowners, and we want to keep it that way. This is ridiculous. This plan for multifamily and high density. It's ridiculous. You know, who stands to profit from this? It's not about progress. It's about profit. And I don't appreciate it. And I respect all of you, but I respect you to make the right decision in this situation. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak towards this amendment? Yes.
Ethan Swick. Am I coming through okay?
Yeah.
Ethan Swick. I live at 805 North 13th Street. Just a little bit about me. My wife and I, we moved to Ozark in 2021. Thanks to some affordable rental housing that we were able to eventually buy our house in April 2023, where we now live, at my address. I kind of wear 2 hats in this community, both as a resident and as a member of as a staff member of the Economic Development Organization for Christian County. And so there are some I hate to kind of go against the grain, but there are some concerns that I have, but also some supports that I have for this project. And I guess I would first say one thing, my first, kind of the real meat of this really is that I see a lot of people talking about that this development or this rezoning could lead to a development that would have some drastic ramifications for property values. And as an economic developer and just a person kind of interested in this topic, I did a little bit of research, or a decent amount of research. And for one thing, what I found really interesting was that across the board, a lot of different studies are reporting that there really is no real concrete evidence that affordable housing developments, urban multifamily, negatively affect nearby property values. And I guess if I were to preface that with saying first that we don't really know specifically what this, we don't really know what this specific development is going to be, if it will be.
I would ask for everyone to be respectful to him, just like everyone has been respectful to one that has spoke, please. Thank you.
Thanks. There really is no, we don't really know specifically what this could be. I mean, we know that the property owner has said that it's going to be townhomes, but as some other points have been made that I support, say that some other people have said that it could be something completely different if it changes property or ownership. But I guess really what I want to point out though is that a few key statistics. Alexandria, Virginia, it's about the same size as Springfield. They found a 0.9% increase in nearby property values after affordable housing was constructed. Trulia, the investment real estate website, they found that in Denver, after there was some affordable housing made, there was an average of $7 per square foot increase in property value. National Association of Realtors, they see the same thing. They even saw an upwards of 1.6% increase in value. Literature review by the Urban Studies Program at San Francisco State University reported the same thing. No negative effect on affordable housing, no negative effect of affordable housing on nearby property values. The Center for Housing Policy, same thing. They actually reviewed 4 literature reviews. Each of those literature reviews had at least 15 individual studies going into it. So that's a massive amount of data. The person that spoke ahead of me has a very specific and a very unique position, and I think it's completely it is ridiculous, it's unfortunate, but it's also contextually very different from our development here, or what could be. I've seen a lot of other points being made. No one has really talked about the stresses of public safety tonight, but that was something that I saw quite a bit, that this rezoning could cause some stresses on public safety. There's some other data that I could provide that says that affordable housing developments don't really result in any higher crime rates over a long period of time. There's a lot of other factors that go into that. But really, I guess I want to present more so my concerns on this is that, one, we don't really know specifically what this project could be. It seems a little bit nebulous, and we're talking specifically about rezoning, and so it could be it could be apartments, it could be townhomes. I personally would be more hesitant to support lavishly expensive housing, big apartments. I don't really like that idea. I will be more supportive of affordable housing, which is defined as 30% of the occupant's income. I also have questions on who this developer is. Melissa Burke, who's the property owner, she identified on Facebook that Keith Neal is the developer, and just kind of doing my own kind of background research, I didn't really find a whole lot of information on this person. But I really want to stress that a poorly constructed high density development really has a potential to harm occupants and nearby residents. And that with this development being located on a hill, and an unconscientious developer may be willing to kind of look the other way on a problem of runoff. We want to make sure that if this development does go through, with the rezoning being the first step, that this developer works with reputable contractors, and so that we can avoid utility outages and construction runoff and other problems. Another concern that I have is that how will the traffic on 14th Street be addressed by the commission? I think it's a good start to see that in the meeting packet for tonight, that there will be a transportation impact study kind of as a starting point. But if we're going to do this right, Yes.
Okay, your 5 minutes, but can you find your stopping? I don't want to stop you.
Yeah, yeah.
Find a stop.
I'll wrap it up. Sorry, I know I had a lot and I want to be able to make sure I communicate everything, but really what I see just from looking at the comprehensive plan is that there is a little bit of a gray area. And residential goals is that we have listed 2 objectives in our comprehensive plan. One is to diversify housing and the other is to promote affordable housing. And I think with that action step under objective 2 being attract development in the form of condominium, townhouses, duplexes, low density apartments, those are the types of things that I would be willing to support. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We would like everyone to speak that wants to. We won't turn anyone away, of course. Seeing no movement, I'll go ahead and close the public portion of this meeting and open it up to the commission for questions, comments, anything that they may have. And as a reminder, this is more for the commission than anything. I meant to mention it prior to the first vote. Per rule of order, I guess, when we make a motion to accept an amendment, we will always do it in the affirmative. And then the vote of each commissioner will either pass or fail the item in question. Okay, does everybody understand what I'm saying? Okay, just make it easier where we can understand the vote better. Okay, I've said what I need to say. Go ahead, Hadley.
Hey, so to the commission, you know what I do. I've made it no secret that I'm a teacher. This is, I mean, I'm at the OIC, I'm at the high school, I was at the junior high for 5 years, and basically like, this is my home away from home, this area. So whereas I don't live there and understand it's different for the people that live there, I see, when I go to the OC after school, I see kids walking. I know we have that tunnel underneath, but they still kind of come by the softball field and the tennis thing. I see the Raiders running, I see the cross-country team running, I see the track students running, and I mean, you know, it's a pretty safe area. I've been walked with my own class from the high school. We've gone down to Sonic. We've tried to do different incentive things. So that's one piece. The second piece is with the way that high school is set up now, where we have the OIC building over here and the high school there. Between 9 and 9:15, roughly, it's a mess, that area. Before we put an apartment complex in. 11:15 to 11:30, it's a mess. Kids going back and forth. Again, that time, 1 to 1:15, roughly, when kids are going back and forth, it's a mess. And then the end of the day is a nightmare. I mean, you know, it takes me 20 minutes longer to kind of coming down there. And that is what it is. And there's pieces with the roads and things like that, but that's without an apartment complex there. I think you mentioned, sir, you said like, you know, 7,000 or something more cars. I mean, there's going to be cars at this time frame. You know, I think we kind of mentioned this, but I just kind of feel like in this area with the school there, you know, I worry as a parent, you know, and obviously my daughter's younger, but there's tons of softball girls that are there sometimes before the coach is there for practice. For tennis, the girls' tennis team right now has 51 girls that are there. And yes, that could happen anywhere with a house, but I just kind of feel like that area with the school there, we don't need all that extra traffic. I just kind of feel like, yes, there's some issues. I know we have the transportation thing, but when we look at some things that are going to just not there, I mean, it's just going to add so much more to that headache. I mean, when we think about some of our most susceptible drivers, there are 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, and all these kids are going there. The kids are going to OTC. I mean, it's why put additional traffic demand on that area, you know, I mean, so just, you know, I know we know each other very well, but like, this is kind of, you know, my home away from home, and just, I think that, you know, single family, yes, there's some thesis, but I just feel like this is just going to put even a bigger crunch on an area that's already, especially at certain times, a bad spot.
Thank you. Anyone else? The floor is open to the commission. Yes, sir. Chad?
I'm not sure where to start. I guess I got a question for staff to start with. Can you remind the commission on the differences between R4 and R3 as far as maximum density, maximum number of floors, that sort of thing?
There's not necessarily a maximum floor. It's based on the design for the building code for R4. And then if you get a certain height, you got to set back from the property. But as far as density, R4 is basically anything over 8 units in one building. So that traditionally is like an apartment structure. R3 is up to 8 units in a building. Depending on how it's designed, if it's more than 4 units, it may need to be a sprinkle building, but if it's less than 4, it could be a non-sprinkle with firewall.
R3 also accommodates two-family, which are like a typical duplex. So an R3 zoning would allow for R2 and up to 8 units in a building. R4 would accommodate the R3 scenario and the R4 higher than 8 units per building.
And how many buildings could be placed on this 14.35 acre?
It honestly, it would depend on the maximum density of the size of the lot and how they can design to fit this and taking into account the topography, the stormwater utilities. Without having a design of that, I couldn't tell you the exact number they could fit on there.
Okay. I guess this maybe it's staff or commission, to anyone's knowledge, has anyone talked to the school district about the proposed development? And what their
No, but
thoughts
the
were?
school district would have received the public mailing that would have gone out because they own property neighboring this parcel.
With the developer at least suggesting that he's looking at 5-plex townhomes, what would the appropriate zoning typically be for that? Is it
That would be
R4?
the R3 would accommodate that. That would be the, I'm not gonna say that's the appropriate zoning, but that's the ideal zoning that notes the townhome style up to 8 units. But again, R4 accommodates those as well.
I guess just some of my comments, one of my concerns with the traffic impact study coming after the rezoning, if the results of that study are such that require significant infrastructure improvements, even stormwater improvements, water, you mentioned low water pressure, stormwater, that sort of stuff. If the property's rezoned and after all these studies are completed, becomes financially undoable for this developer, I guess the zoning would already be in place for another developer to come in, and so and then what would that proposal be? Not having any knowledge of what that may be. I guess that's really my concern. Just one last thing, if the study showed improvements to 14th Street, would the developer be required to build those? Or the city required to build them, or who?
Yeah, the city wouldn't be required. 14th Street is owned and maintained by the Ozark Special Road District. They're also, they have been involved with keeping track of this application. They know it's a zoning at this time, so the zoning, there's no design documents at this point. But once it comes into design, they'll issue a traffic impact study where they'll review as well. I can't answer as far as who would pay for that, but it would be generally most of that's the burden of the developer, but it'd be between them and Ozark Special Road District. The city would own and maintain any internal streets of this development. Generally what we see with the R4, R3, a lot of those become private because they don't subdivide each parcel for each building.
Okay. Last question, Cameron. Thank you. Would this development require sidewalks along 14th Street?
Yes, per city ordinance, all developments require sidewalks along all road frontages. So they would be required to construct those. Again, because of this being Ozark Special Road District, what we have seen on other projects is they don't necessarily want those in the right of way. So they'll grant or will require them to dedicate an easement on private property to build those sidewalks. But I do also want to add that there is a stipulation in the city ordinance for a possible sidewalk buyout, depending on the condition of the existing site, what's going on there. There's some trigger criteria that would accommodate that to be considered.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chad. Anyone else? Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I have question, Cameron, in the section under water. The very end, it talks about during the construction plan review process, staff will evaluate the engineered drawings to ensure the property has adequate water service and fire flows. All construction plans will be reviewed to ensure compliance. Who exactly is reviewing those? Is that Public Works? Is that an outside engineer? How do you guys handle that?
It's both, and this part of the staff report is provided by Public Works.
Okay.
Public Works will do the internal evaluation of the design of the water system, along with our third-party review engineer that facilitate and assist with that. And then depending on the quantity of linear footage of pipe, sometimes that'll go to DNR as well for review.
Right.
But yes, that is internally reviewed by staff and our third-party engineer.
Okay. I'd like to ask a question of the representative. Appropriate time.
Yes, come forward, please, sir.
Does your company have any comment on, I have an assumption, but do you have any comment on why this was entered as R4?
It's because in order for us to know exactly what we can fit in there, we need it rezoned to R4 before we dump $100,000 into architects and engineers. And so before us for the investment and everything, that's why.
And do you have any preliminary work from a civil engineer of what is possible?
Not to my knowledge at the moment. We're talking this one right now, but we don't have a whole setup and drawing architect of the plot yet. So we just have one building design.
Right.
Of what the building will look like.
And how much square footage would that footprint be?
So each unit is roughly 1,800 square feet. So 5 times 1,800 square foot. What?
Okay.
So.
And that's exterior square foot, corner to corner?
Yep. That includes the garage, living space, everything. So.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
Just a second, Chad, don't leave just yet. Megan, did you need something? I saw you raise your hand.
I think the applicant has indicated he's okay with shooting stuff.
The applicant, what? I'm sorry.
Site plan.
We submitted one piece of paper with the.
You want to, sir?
Sir?
Oh, he's coming back. He's got a question for you.
I don't know if we submitted this. I don't think so.
You have to submit that, give it, Cameron, look at it first, since it's a new document. Oh, we can.
Roughly for what we are considering.
Did you hand one over there?
That's the only one I've got with you right now.
Can you, okay,
We hadn't received that as far as
have not seen that? Okay,
which. Yeah, I think it's still consumer cycle.
Yeah.
Chad, if you want to go ahead and ask a question.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
I have a few questions. So you're proposing 5 units in each building and initially 6 buildings.
Yes.
I assume they'll all be rentals.
Yes.
Okay. What about future plans for the rest of the property?
We'd like, future plans is, we're trying to keep the townhomes to the south of the property, and then future, the front half of that be divided up into lots for houses.
So you mentioned previously that you were requesting the R4 zoning to make sure you had that zoning in place. So as you started to spend money in design and so forth, you had the zoning you needed. So is it safe to say, as you further run the numbers, that this proposal could change from 5-plex townhomes to something more intense?
It could, depending on how the math and numbers all work out, those could possibly go up to 8 plexes.
Okay.
So we could accommodate, so the numbers work for the bank and everything. So.
Thank you.
Floor's still open. You can have a seat. We'll holler at you if we need more. Thank you.
Cameron, I have
Yes,
another
Adam.
question. As far as the descriptions of the different zoning regions, I just want to make sure accurate as possible. The minimum lot area per family means per unit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to clarify.
That 20,000 square feet that you're looking at.
Yeah, so 20,000 square foot lot per unit,
Right.
kind of give you a calculation.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from the commission, comments? Yes, Chad?
I guess I'm just gonna add to what Headley said earlier. I get, for me, there's just, I have a lot of concerns. I have concerns with the traffic. I don't think they'll be as significant as what some may have stated this evening, but also have concerns about the water pressure, fire response, sprinkler systems, concerns and impacts to the school district. You know, what sort of stress may this put on the school district with, and don't get me wrong, we have a need in the region for affordable housing, multifamily housing. I mean, there's a large population that we need to figure out a way to address that. I'm not sure this is the appropriate place to do that. And I guess with the unknowns and the development may change, you know, maybe something I would be more comfortable with would be a planned development that was specifically defined, the site plan that would have to be held to. But right now, with the way this is presented, I can't support it. So.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, yes.
Can I make a clarification what I just answered to Mr. Brown?
Sure.
So we just happen to have the ordinance here in front of us. I was incorrect on the 20,000. It's 2,000 per unit and 20,000 total for the minimum lot size. So I was incorrect there. Oh, I can't get it to, let me get this to scroll so you guys can see this.
And follow up with that, Cameron, does that include, that doesn't include the footprint of the building, that include like footprint of the development?
The acreage of land, yes.
Right.
So again, R4 is 2,000 square foot of land per unit or a minimum of 20,000 square foot lot to develop.
You good? Is that
Yeah.
clear? Okay.
I would just like to make a public comment of, we need developers who want to develop this type of housing in Ozark. Obviously, the type of housing has to go on a piece of land. And every developer out there is looking for the right piece of land to put this housing up. And trying to find that, I would just make an encouragement to the public that, you know, this housing is a need in the area. And I think there's a great way for developers and the public to work together to find the right locations for these type of housing, which I support. And having been in the business myself, know that the land doesn't change. You got to find the right piece of land. And so I would like the full comprehensive plan to be read by everybody in Ozark, to know that that is one of our goals. And wherever we can find that land, I hope we find the right piece that we can encourage that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Well, I'll make a couple of comments myself. I am concerned about the comprehensive plan as it's stated. I believe we have some issues here that everyone can recognize. And I'm uncomfortable with the what ifs and we might do this, but we might do that. I am quite concerned with that. And I would like to move this forward, and I'm gonna make a motion to approve this amendment. But each one of us will make our own votes. You'll have a second.
Second.
Megan, would you call a roll call, please?
Jeff Garrison,
Nay.
Chad Zickertus,
Nay.
Adam Oates is absent, Adam Brown,
Nay.
Lacy Colbert. Nay. Pete Renfro.
Nay.
Alexi Pavlov.
Nay.
Trevor Branch.
Nay.
Ali Goldberg.
Nay.
You just have to- Motion.
Has been, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Moving on, we now just simply have a discussion to be had within the commission. 5 A, an ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, chapter 405 relating to zoning regulations. Cameron, if you want to
Yes,
bring
staff
us up to date there.
Staff has taken some of the comments and feedback from the last meeting and have brought some revisions back to the commission. Let me get to this. We've highlighted kind of the specific changes we made. On the first section, one of the questions that came up is in regards to some of the minimum number of lots that might require a pool. In addition to some of the commission's questions, we had some other feedback from outside the commission. Staff has revised that minimum lot size in the RSF1 require any subdivisions of 75 lots or more than 75 lots to be required to have a pool. Anything less than 75 does not require to have a pool. So that's that first change highlighted on the page 4. And then following that, there was concerns or questions about the pool house and the minimum size of the community pool house for the subdivision. Based on what we provide in the ordinance, there's a minimum calculation to determine the pool size of surface area. And then we also gave a calculation for the deck area around the pool, basically being the double the pool surface. So what staff is proposing to do, just because it's really difficult to find that fine number for what that community room needs to be, depending on the subdivision. So what we're putting in the ordinance, we're proposing that upon the design basically of the pool and the pool house, once they've kind of calculated that design of that pool to determine the occupant load of that pool, and then design the pool house to accommodate that occupant load of the pool. The pools, based on their final size, will have whether it's 1 square foot per person or 1.5 or 2 per person. There's some design standards for pools based on the proposed occupants. So once the applicant of that subdivision has determined their final pool size, then we'll be looking for the design professional when they submit the architecture plans to calculate the minimum size for the pool house. So that's what we're proposing there, determining for the pool house to make sure it might accommodate a public meeting room as such in a subdivision. Moving on to the next page, one of the other discussions was about the sidewalks and trail requirements to be constructed. Currently, our public works design standards require any residential collector road and subdivision have sidewalks on both sides. They're minimum 5 feet. And then if it's a local residential, it's sidewalk on one side. The original proposal actually required additional trail and sidewalk construction. What staff is proposing to do is actually go ahead or go back and remove that language and default back to our public works design standards and the city ordinances. And with that, there is an existing city ordinance, and I've got it pulled up here for linear park trail construction. So what staff is going to propose to bring back to the commission is a revision of this ordinance with the single family. So generally what is required when a subdivision is built along the OTO trail corridor, they are required, the developers are required to dedicate a 30-foot trail easement. Right now, the discussion has been to propose maybe along with that easement to go ahead and build that trail. So it's not just easement, but it's the construction of the trail. And then if a subdivision bordered that subdivision that had that 30-foot spine corridor, they were required to have neighborhood trails. In the current ordinance, it does require a neighborhood trail to be constructed at 6 feet in width throughout that subdivision. What staff is proposing to do on that one is to take that 6 feet, increase it to 10, and require that trail to be built as well. So that's what we're proposing. Our plan is to propose to kind of follow the linear park trail ordinance, increase some of those requirements to go ahead and get the trail built and not just an easement, and increase that 6 foot to 10 feet in those locations. And then as far as sidewalks, just refer to the public works design standards when those will occur. There are some concerns on the staff side about any additional sidewalks and trails. Generally, those are built and dedicated to the city of Ozark for ownership and maintenance. With the original proposal of those additional amenities, that would be somewhat of a burden on staff, or not staff, but the city to own and maintain and keep up with those. So then going back, so again, we are striking out that language and refer to those ordinances, and we'll propose that language and bring back to the commission at the next meeting. Following that, that was RSF 1. In RSF 2, we pretty much have mimicked that same language and repeat the lot count for the pool. In addition, the same for the pool house as far as the calculation requirements, and then again on the trail and sidewalk sections. So that was a proposed revisions there. Then moving on to the chart, originally staff had proposed implementing a new single family for the downtown area. In reviewing that, the intent originally wasn't to require a new single family zoning district. So I think by putting it in that chart, that might have caused some confusion. So what staff is proposing that within this area, the downtown, to actually outline some of the criteria. If you fall within this boundary area, regardless of the zoning, it'll revise the minimum lot size standards, which would be more in keeping with our existing laws today that for the most part are non-conforming in the downtown area. In that downtown area, we do define it by some verbiage in the ordinance, but we do plan to implement this map to have on file with the city clerk upon adoption of this ordinance. But it kind of gives you that geographic area in the downtown to where our minimum lot size in those areas would be 5,000 as opposed to the 8,000 in the RSF 1. So with that, be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question, Cameron.
Yes, sir.
What type of data did you guys use to land on that 76 number as opposed to the 30?
Well, to be honest, the 76 was some guidance that staff got from our city administrator to use for that minimum lot number.
Is that based on historical size?
No, it was just what he had chose to feel like the most comfortable number to kind of make an equal balance between the lot owners and developer to try to
Compromise essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Just reading through this, I think it's very accommodating. I think the most important aspect. Sorry. That we've added, I think, Cameron, is the downtown single family overlay. I think it's going to help out a ton.
Yeah.
Of future movement and change and building, and we've needed something there for a while.
Yeah.
No question, Jim.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
On this, I had a question to it, kind of piggyback on Adam's. What is it like in surrounding areas? So what is it for Nixa and in the pool? I know Nixa seems like they have a lot more pool houses and things like that does in Ozark. Can you know that number?
From staff's research prior, and this has been a few years ago when we started work on this, we never really found a clear ordinance that had a requirement for a pool.
Okay.
It was some direction that staff received in coordination conversation with the board about requiring this.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Anyone else, comment, questions, comments? Can you give any input on? Back for a vote, maybe next month? Possibly?
Yeah, staff's anticipation, based on some of the feedback this evening, to go ahead and bring it back next month for final action on the board to make a recommendation to the board.
Well, I would recommend everybody look through it and be comfortable with what we're doing here. I think it makes sense. I'm no wizard, but I don't see anything, nothing jumped out at me. So read and study and make sure you're comfortable for next month.
It
was
yeah. And then just for clarification, the reason it's not actually in the packet with the ordinance, it's not to be adopted in the ordinance. We just make reference to a map on file. That's why we print it separately, so there wouldn't be any confusion. And then just to clarify on the boundary map, what staff has done is went back and looked at some of the old plats. And a lot of things in this area were platted prior to 1980. And that's really getting before the planning and zoning requirements. And that's kind of helped to dictate this boundary for us. And also in conjunction with the applications we continue to see by some of the property owners.
Thank you, Cameron, for that. Well, next item up for bids is any further commission comments on anything and everything or nothing. I'll go around. Hadley? Anything?
I would just say we got some new stuff in town. I mean, since we met the Five Below, the Starbucks, I know, we got that new haircut place, like. Let's just, make sure that we try to, I'm trying to go to the new places, but I'm trying to publicly let people know too, because, we still want to get some more businesses here in town, so, I went to Five Below, it was really nice, and they keep it clean, and it's also some good opportunities for some of our students to have some jobs that can't handle fast food, but can handle some more retail things besides just Walmart.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Alexi? Good? Pete, you're good? Lacey? Trevor? Chad?
Just thanks staff for all the work.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of ton of work. Adam?
Yep, thank you for showing up, being part of your local government.
Administrative. Megan, what do you got to say, dear?
I do not have.
You're good? Cameron?
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Well, as everyone see, number 8, I need a motion to second, and they all said. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming.